Joined now by our good friend Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald Times. Dustin, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Jim. How about yourself?
Cannot complain. You were in Maryland, College Park over the weekend for a tremendous road win by Indiana. Man, that's a game that I think that may have been, you got to put the Purdue game aside, but being a road game, Maryland is not the worst team. They're not the top team in the conference, but they're not the worst team in the conference. So this was going to be a test, and they passed with flying colors.
No, they really did. I mean, you obviously don't want to put it on the scale with the Purdue game because that's one that you circle and say, when you look at the tournament, resumes at the end of the year, that's the one you look at and say, why does Indiana have to be in because they beat Purdue? But this is a sign of a team that is sturdy, that is capable of going on the road and beating a team that it's better than. But I mean, just in their arena, with a pretty big crowd at a place that cares. I mean, there were Indiana fans there too. I mean, that obviously helped IU's cause. That there's a lot of IU graduates in the DC area who decided to show up for that one. But all the same, I mean, it was not an environment that there was no one there that cared about the home team, and they just handled Maryland. I mean, they were pretty much in charge for from about the 15-minute mark on of the first half. I mean, let Maryland get going, get on an 8-0 run, but after that, I think they countered with about an 11-0 run to take control. And they were never out of control after that. And they defended really, really well, shot it well enough, not so much from outside, but were able to pound the ball into the paint and really establish themselves there. And basically, with Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson, they just didn't have an answer. Maryland's got a couple guys, Dante Scott and Kudus Wahab, that aren't bad players, but, Indiana dominated there. I mean, they won in the paint 36-20. Really a strong defensive effort. I thought Trey Galloway was fantastic on Eric Ayala, pretty much took him out of the game, more or less. And so you can see all the pieces really starting to come together for this group where it's a situation where they don't need emotion and the backing of a home crowd to win a basketball game. They can go out and beat a team like a Maryland that is probably an NIT team. But still be able to beat them and beat them handily, by double figures and always be controlling a road game. That is a sign of a team that's becoming healthier, that is playing a more sturdy, transferable brand of basketball. Mature, is another good word for it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a game I don't know that they would have won 6 weeks ago, Dustin, and it's not that long ago. But they've grown up quickly. They've come together quickly. Sure. I think Xavier Johnson has been a huge part of that. Don talked about that in the last segment. He only had 8 points, not a great shooting night against Maryland, but 9 assists. But still, his previous 3 games, he was averaging 17 points. So whatever you tack on the 8 there, he's still probably averaging
14.7. I just did the math, actually.
There you go. So I can't believe I'm that good. I'm close enough. So, but over the last, so you got a point guard that's doing that. He's going to let him. He can have off shooting nights. If he gets 9 assists, doesn't matter. He's making up those points elsewhere. The shooting of Race Thompson, and you know what? And none of us were happy to watch him shoot 3-pointers for most of the season, going 3 for 27. But his shot never looked bad.
No, it didn't.
It was never a bad shot. He just wasn't hitting. And maybe it was just a confidence thing because now he is doing just that. But it never looked bad. There are guards on this team that have worse looking shots than Race Thompson.
Oh, 100%. There are guards that have way worse looking shots than Race Thompson does by far. I mean, shoot, Xavier Johnson's the 3rd leading 3-point shooter on this team, and he's got a worse looking shot. It's
funny. I watched him shooting in warmups. His ball, when his ball leaves his hand, the rotation has got a slightly. It looks like planet Earth rotating. It's not going under.
It's an awkward curve. He pushed shots and he manages to get enough to fall. Especially when teams are daring him to shoot threes, he can get enough to fall. And again, he's 3rd on the team in threes made, but it is not a pretty looking shot. It just goes in sometimes. But no, Race has put up. I mean, he's got a really high arc on it. He's got a power forward's jump shot. Like it's kind of back behind the head, big high release point there, and coming off with a lot of arc. But that's a shot that can go in. That's not a terrible shot. It doesn't look bad. It's got, like you said, pretty good spin on it. Just hasn't been able to line it up for most of the year, and he finally is. And now that he is, it makes a difference. And so, I mean, it's key for a lot of reasons. I think for one issue that they've got is because they have figured out that Galloway is their best defender, and because they can only trust Miller Kopp and Parker Stewart on defense so much. I mean, those guys can guard guys like them, but they're not shutting down an Eric Ayala. They're not shutting down Jaden Ivey, certainly. Trey Galloway can handle those type of players, but he's not a shooter. So when Galloway is getting expensive minutes, 22, 25 minutes, you're down to at least you're only playing one of those guys. So they need someone else to hit some threes, or at least spread the floor, just be a threat. They don't have to they don't need to shoot 10 threes a night to win. Like if they can get 5, 6, 7, that really helps. But more to the point, they just need to be able to force teams to guard them to the perimeter. If you have to guard Race Thompson to the perimeter, that makes a huge difference, because that's one defender that's not clogging the lane, that at least has to chase him when he goes out there. I mean, that does something for floor spacing and makes a big difference. So now that he's made a couple in a row, if you are, if you're scouting Indiana, like, you got to tell whoever your power forward is, like, hey, Race Thompson can take you outside. You can't let him have that shot. Like a week ago, we would have told you can let him shoot from 25 feet. Now you better go defend him, and that at least opened things up so that he's not, that guy's not just doubling on Trace Jackson Davis. Makes a difference. Makes a difference. Just anything that he can do to be able to spread the floor out, again, when they're playing Galloway, and when there's only, it's Kopp or Stewart, maybe it's not even one of those guys out on the floor. That makes a difference. Just something to make sure that they're not facing a Claude Payne all the time makes a difference.
And I'm going to wait till the season gets close to the end. But if things continue, Mike Woodson has to be in deep consideration for Coach of the Year. If he's able to get Christian Lander to come in and play an important, impactful role from here out, that will just be another piece that he has added slowly to this team. As from a coaching standpoint, all year long, people are complaining, well, where's Lander? Where's Lander? Where's Lander? Or where's this? And all that. He has done exactly what he wants to do with this team, how he wants to do it, and it's working. Everyone was clamoring for Lander. Well, for one thing, he was hurt. But I don't think he was ready prior to that. But obviously he's getting closer to that, and he played well enough in the Maryland game. A couple of points, 2 of 2 shooting, a couple of turnovers, but he's doing a fine job and bringing these guys along. And now Race Thompson, shooting 10% for his first 30 shots at 3-point attempts, but kept shooting because Mike Woodson wants him kept shooting. And now that is about to become a feared weapon for this team as the season progresses. So these things continue to add up for this team in a positive way. And that's what you think of when you think of Michigan State. When everyone used to talk about, they were not very good at the beginning of the year, but look at them in March. That is what you want from a team that continues to progress and get better. This team looks like it's doing that.
Right. No, I mean, I'm keeping sort of the jury out on the whole Lander situation, because I'm just sort of fascinated by how he's pulling it. I want to hear more from Christian going forward to get a better sense of what's going on there and what that's going to end up being. Now he has to play now because with Finney out, and I mean, if Finney plays this season, I mean, that's going to be impressive. I mean, like he's laid up with that thing, like that must be. I mean, you can have really bad plantar fasciitis, because we're really talking about that tendon down there at the bottom of your foot.
Let me tell you right now. Have you ever had it?
No,
I've
just seen. Oh, really? Yeah.
It's like someone taking scalding hot needles and shoving them into your foot. And not when you step down, but when you pull up, it's like you just get injected with hot gasoline or something. It is just horribly painful. Yeah. And it just takes, you saw that boot he has, he's sleeping with a boot that will keep his foot pulled back. And it just takes time to heal. Not to say he can't be back this season. He can be, and probably will be. But he's not going to play. I doubt very seriously he plays in the next game.
Yeah, no, there's no, I see no possibility. I mean, even with a week off, just the extent to which that thing looked like it ripped, like from the way he was saying, like, no, I can't. I just for another reason, I was rewatching that game last night, and like when he just even tries to come down on the foot, he's like, oh no, oh God, no. So that tells me that hurts like bad, and it's going to take a while for that thing to heal. I mean, I'd say 2-3 weeks minimum, before. So Christian Lander has to play, and I'm fascinated to see how this is going to continue to go. Like, obviously now they've got to get behind him. Might not have been the worst thing to get him a couple more minutes than he was getting. And so he's going to have to put a lot of faith in him and get some things right by that one. I'm going to be fascinated about how that one goes. Now, the thing about it is it's tough to keep everybody happy. But more to your point, though, in terms of just the base of what he's done this year, I think the most important thing that you have to say that he's done is he has, he has shown faith in all these guys, and they've rewarded him for it. I mean, he has had to walk a bunch of lines. I mean, with Finney is a particular, one where it was basically like, yeah, like, I mean, when he said, like, I recruited Xavier Johnson to start, and I pretty much told Rob Finney he was not going to start, but he was important and he was going to matter. And Rob Finney never complained. And he continued to tell him, like, Rob, we need you. Like, you're going to be important on this team, and found a way to make it so that it wasn't just Xavier Johnson's position, and Rob Finney wasn't just, picking up, 10 minutes a game or whatever. Getting him 20 and making him involved and making him matter was a big deal, has been a big deal. But sticking with Xavier Johnson when the fan base was mad at him and was annoyed that he was turning the ball over too much and forcing stuff and whatever, like saying, like, no, like, you don't boo that guy. That's my guy. I'm going to tell him when he screws up. You guys shut up. I got it. That's a big deal. I mean, like, just when these guys feel his confidence, like, it makes a difference to them. Like, he has, I think it's mattered for Trace Jackson Davis. It's certainly mattered for Race Thompson. A lot of these guys, I think, feel like he's got their back, and he, I think, just does a really good job of connecting. Again, Finney in particular, I mean, like, we've talked about confidence with this kid as long as he's been there, and he's as confident as I've ever seen him. I mean, like, there's still times when he's too passive, still, getting to the point of really trusting himself when he takes shots. But, man, it was there when it came to Purdue. And, like, that, this is a case of he seems to keep these guys on a level, and I don't know exactly how he does it, but just by giving these guys faith, telling Mike Woodson believes it. He's just like he speaks in the third person when he says this. Coach Woodson believes you. Yeah, he's got your back, and that obviously is something that they take and see as genuine, and it's done wonders for him. And yeah, I think he is part of the Coach of the Year discussion. You obviously wait until see how it all shakes out and who's where at the end. I mean, I'm sure Izzo's going to get his consideration as always. I imagine Painter's going to get some consideration for building, that Purdue team, depending on how it shakes out. Brad Underwood probably gets, some level of consideration if Illinois continues to be really good, maybe even Greg Gard. But Woodson's got to be in the discussion especially if it ends up being a top 5, top 6 team in the league.